The wind howled through the cracked barn door, carrying the faint, sweet scent of something unearthly from the fields beyond. I stood frozen, my heart pounding as my father-in-law, Richard, slammed his fist on our kitchen table, his voice a venomous growl. "Sell the farm, Anna, or you and Tom will lose everything." His words hung in the air like a guillotine, sharp and final. My husband, Tom, sat beside me, his calloused hands clenched so tightly his knuckles whitened. We'd been married 10 years, built a life on this sprawling Nebraska farm, pouring every ounce of sweat and soul into its stubborn soil. But Richard and his wife, Margaret, Tom's parents, had other plans. They'd always seen the farm as a burden, a dusty relic of Tom's late grandfather's dreams. Now, with property developers circling like vultures, they smelled money, big money, and they weren't asking us to sell, they were demanding it. "You don't understand," I said, my voice trembling but firm. "This land isn't just dirt. It's ours. It's home." Richard's eyes narrowed, his silver hair catching the dim light of our flickering bulb. He leaned forward, his tailored suit out of place in our worn kitchen. "Home," he sneered. "This place is a money pit. You're drowning in debt, and you're too stubborn to see it. Sign the papers, or we'll make sure you regret it." Tom's chair scraped back, the sound cutting through the tension. "Enough, Dad," he said, his voice low but dangerous. "This is our life. You don't get to dictate it." Margaret, sitting primly beside Richard, adjusted her pearl necklace and gave a tight-lipped smile. "Thomas, darling, we're only thinking of your future. The developers are offering millions. You could start fresh. Why cling to this? Failure." Failure. The word stung like a slap. This farm wasn't just land, it was where Tom proposed to me under the old oak, where we'd laughed and cried through seasons of drought and plenty. But there was something else, something they didn't know. Out in the north field, hidden behind a wall of corn, was a secret we'd only just begun to understand, a secret that could change everything. It started 6 months ago, in the dead of winter. Tom had been clearing snow from the north field when he noticed something odd, a patch of ground that refused to freeze. The soil was warm to the touch, pulsing faintly, as if alive. We dug carefully, expecting roots or maybe a forgotten pipe. Instead, we found seeds, small, iridescent orbs that shimmered like pearls under moonlight. They weren't like anything we'd ever seen, not in any seed catalog or botany book. Tom, ever the practical one, wanted to report it to the county extension office. But I stopped him. "Let's plant one," I whispered, my curiosity outweighing my fear. "Just to see." We did. In a secluded corner of the north field, we buried one seed, expecting nothing. By spring, a single shoot emerged. Unlike any plant we knew, it grew fast, reaching 6 feet in weeks, its leaves glowing faintly at night with a soft, blue-green light. We called it the stranger, half joking, half awestruck. Tests showed it wasn't toxic, but its composition baffled the local lab. Unknown organic compounds. Their report read, "Potentially revolutionary." We kept it hidden, unsure what it meant, but certain it was worth protecting. Now, as Richard and Margaret pressed their case, I glanced at Tom. His eyes met mine, and I knew he was thinking of the stranger too. It wasn't just about the farm, Anna Maria, it was about what was growing there. A mystery that could be our salvation or our ruin. Richard slid a contract across the table. "Sign it," he said. "The developers won't wait forever." I stared at the paper, my heart racing. Selling meant giving up the stranger, exposing it to people who'd exploit it without understanding. But fighting meant war with Tom's parents, who'd already proven they'd stop at nothing. Last month, they'd convinced the bank to tighten our loan terms, claiming we were unstable. They'd even spread rumors in town, painting us as reckless dreamers who couldn't manage the farm. "I need time," I said, pushing the contract back. Richard's face darkened, but Margaret's smile grew colder. "Time's running out," she said sweetly. "Don't make us take this further." That night, after they left, Tom and I walked to the north field. The stranger swayed in the breeze, its glow casting eerie shadows. "What are we going to do?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Tom took my hand, his grip steady. "We fight," he said. "For the farm. For us. For whatever this is." I nodded. "But fear not at me." Richard and Margaret weren't just family, they were a force. Relentless and cunning. And they were coming for everything we loved. The next morning, the air felt heavier, like the calm before a storm. I woke to find Tom already gone, his side of the bed cold. Out in the north field, I found him kneeling beside the stranger, his face lit by its faint glow even in daylight. "It's growing again," he said, pointing to new shoots sprouting around the base. "There's more of them now." I crouched beside him, marveling at the tiny, luminescent plants. They pulsed faintly, as if breathing. "We can't let them take this," I said. "Not just for us. But what if this is bigger than us?" Tom nodded, his jaw tight. "I've been thinking the same. But Dad's not bluffing. He'll pull every string he's got." Richard's influence ran deep. A retired lawyer with connections in every corner of the county. He'd already swayed the bank. We'd heard whispers he was cozying up to the developers, promising them our land for a cut of the profits. Margaret, meanwhile, worked the social angle, charming neighbors into believing we were squandering Tom's inheritance. The pressure was suffocating, but the stranger gave us hope, a fragile, glowing thread of it. That afternoon, a sleek black SUV pulled up our drive. A man in his 40s, all polished shoes and slick smiles, introduced himself as Greg Harmon, lead negotiator for Pinnacle Development. "I hear you're sitting on a gold mine," he said, gesturing at the fields. "My clients are prepared to make you very comfortable if you sign today." His eyes lingered on the north field, and I felt a chill. Did he know? Had Richard told him something? "We're not selling," Tom said flatly. Greg's smile didn't waver. "I understand sentimentality, Mr. Carter. But sentiment doesn't pay bills. Your parents mentioned your financial difficulties. We can help." His tone was smooth, but there was a predatory edge to it. I stepped forward, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "This farm's been in Tom's family for generations. It's not for sale." Greg raised an eyebrow, handing me his card. "Think it over. Opportunities like this don't last." As he drove off, I noticed Margaret's car parked down the road, her silhouette watching us. She'd orchestrated this, no doubt. The realization hit me. They weren't just pressuring us, they were spying, waiting for us to crack. That night, we sat down to strategize. "We need proof," I said. "Something to show the stranger's worth more than their offer." Tom agreed, but his face was grim. "If we go public, we lose control. Scientists, corporations, they'll tear this place apart." He was right. The stranger was a miracle, but miracles attract greed. We decided to contact Dr. Elena Voss, a botanist we'd met at a conference years ago. She was unconventional, skeptical of corporate agendas, and might understand what we'd found. I emailed Elena, attaching photos of the stranger and the lab report. Her reply came within hours. "This is extraordinary. I'm coming tomorrow. Keep it quiet." Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. As I closed my laptop, I heard a rustle outside. Peering through the window, I saw a flashlight beam darting across the north field. Someone was out there. "Tom," I hissed, grabbing his arm. We slipped outside, moving silently through the corn. The beam came from Richard, his face illuminated as he examined the stranger. He muttered into a phone, his words indistinct but urgent. My stomach twisted. He knew. Or at least, he suspected. We retreated, hearts pounding. and locked the doors. "He's onto us," Tom said, his voice low. "We need to move fast." By dawn, Elena arrived, her pickup kicking up dust. A wiry woman in her 50s with sharp eyes. She wasted no time. "Show me," she said. In the north field. She gasped at the stranger's glow. This could rewrite botany," she whispered, taking samples with trembling hands. "But you're in danger. If this is what I think, people will kill for it." Her words sent a shiver through me. As we walked back to the house, Richard's car rolled up. He stepped out, his smile colder than ever. "Having a little science fair, are we?" he said, eyeing Elena. "Whatever you're hiding, Anna, it won't save you. Sign the papers, or I'll make sure this farm is condemned." The threat landed like a punch. He wasn't just fighting for money, he was fighting to destroy us. Elena's warning echoed in my mind as Richard drove away, his threat lingering like smoke. Condemning the farm was no idle bluff. His connections could make it happen. A condemned property would be seized, sold off cheap, and we'd lose everything, including the stranger. "We need a plan," I said, my voice shaking. Tom nodded, but his eyes were distant. "Haunted. He's my father," he said softly. "How did it come to this?" Elena, still clutching her samples, broke the silence. "This plant, it's not just unusual. Its compounds could revolutionize medicine, energy, maybe even agriculture. But exposing it now, without protection, is suicide." She suggested a contact at the USDA, someone discreet who could secure funding and legal safeguards. It was a risk, but we had no choice. We agreed to meet her contact in 2 days. But first, we had to keep Richard at bay. That afternoon, I noticed something off. The Northfield's corn, our natural barrier around the stranger, was wilting. Not naturally, someone had sprayed herbicide. The damage was subtle, but deliberate. A message from Richard or his developer friends. "They're trying to expose it," I said, my hands trembling as I touched the dying stalks. Tom's face hardened. "They want proof of something valuable to jack up the price, or to take it for themselves." We worked late into the night, replanting corn to shield the stranger. Every rustle in the dark made my heart race, expecting Richard or worse. By morning, we were exhausted but resolute. Elena called with news. Her contact, Dr. Patel, was intrigued but needed a sample in person. "Bring it to Lincoln tomorrow," she said. "And be careful. If Richard's watching, he'll follow." We hid the stranger's newest shoots in a cooler, masking them with regular corn samples. As we loaded the truck, Margaret appeared, her smile venomous. "Going somewhere?" she asked, eyeing the cooler. "Just errands," I lied, my pulse spiking. She didn't buy it, but left without pushing. I knew she'd report back to Richard. Sure enough, as we drove to Lincoln, a black SUV tailed us. "It's them," Tom muttered, gripping the wheel. We took back roads, losing them in the maze of country lanes. But the fear lingered. In Lincoln, Dr. Patel's lab was a sterile contrast to our dusty farm. A quiet man in his 60s. He examined the stranger's leaves under a microscope, his eyes widening. "This is unprecedented," he said. "The bioluminescence suggests a unique energy transfer. If we can study it, it could change the world." He promised to fast-track a patent application and secure federal protection. But it would take time we didn't have. On the drive home, Tom was silent, his hands tight on the wheel. "What if we're wrong?" he asked suddenly. "What if this thing is dangerous?" I touched his arm, feeling the weight of his doubt. "It's our chance, Tom. Not just for us, but for everyone. We can't let them win." He nodded, but the worry didn't leave his eyes. Back at the farm, trouble was waiting. The barn door was ajar, tools scattered. Inside, we found a note pinned to the wall. "Last chance. Sign, or lose it all. Richard's handwriting. My stomach churned. He'd been here, in our home, while we were gone. He's escalating, I said, my voice barely steady. Tom crumpled the note, his face a storm. Then we escalate too. We called a lawyer friend, Sarah, who specialized in property disputes. She warned us Richard could push for eminent domain, claiming the farm was a public nuisance. It was a long shot, but with his connections, it was possible. Document everything, she said. Every threat, every move, and protect that plant at all costs. That night, we rigged motion sensors around the north field and slept in shifts, watching for intruders. The farm, once our sanctuary, now felt like a battlefield. Dawn broke with a crimson sky, ominous and heavy. The motion sensors hadn't tripped, but the air felt charged, like the world was holding its breath. Tom and I checked the north field, relieved to find the stranger untouched. Its glow stronger than ever. But relief was fleeting. Sarah called with bad news. Richards filed a complaint with the county, she said. He's claiming the farm's a health hazard, citing unidentified vegetation. They're sending an inspector tomorrow. My heart sank. Richard must have seen enough in the field to guess at the stranger's value. He's trying to force our hand, I said, pacing the kitchen. Tom slammed a mug down, coffee sloshing. He's my father, Anna. My own damn father. The betrayal cut deep, and I saw the boy in him, the one who'd once idolized Richard. I pulled him close, his heartbeat steady against mine. We'll fight this, I whispered. Together. Elena arrived, her face grim. She'd analyzed the stranger further and confirmed its potential. Its compounds could create a new class of antibiotics, maybe even clean energy. But we need time, she said. The patent's in progress, but Richard's moving faster. She suggested going public, leaking the discovery to a trusted journalist to rally support. It was a gamble. Exposure could save the farm or attract corporate sharks. We hesitated, but time was slipping away. The inspector arrived the next morning. A nervous woman named Clara who seemed uncomfortable under Richard's watchful eye. He'd shown up uninvited, standing smugly by his car as Clara poked through our fields. I guided her away from the north field, showing her our organic certifications and soil tests. Everything's in order, I said, forcing a smile. Clara nodded, but her eyes kept drifting to Richard. I knew he'd gotten to her. That night, we caught a break. Sarah found a loophole. The farm was part of a historical trust from Tom's grandfather, limiting Richard's legal leverage. It's not airtight, she warned, but it buys you time. We celebrated quietly, but the victory felt hollow. Richard wasn't playing by rules anymore. At midnight, the motion sensors blared. Tom grabbed a flashlight, and we raced to the north field. There, we found Greg Harmon, the developer, snapping photos of the stranger. He froze, caught in our beam. Get off our land, Tom growled, stepping forward. Greg smirked, unfazed. This isn't yours anymore, Carter. Your father made sure of that. He bolted before we could stop him, vanishing into the corn. My knees buckled. Richard wasn't just threatening us, was colluding with Pinnacle, feeding them our secret. They know, I whispered, my voice breaking. Tom's face was stone. Then we make them regret it. We called Elena and Sarah, forming a war council. Elena suggested a bold move. Invite a small group of scientists to see the stranger, documenting its value under controlled conditions. It would strengthen our patent claim and make condemnation harder. Sarah agreed, but warned us to secure the farm first. Richard's desperate, she said. Desperate men do dangerous things. We spent the day fortifying the north field, installing locks on the barn and cameras at every entrance. But as night fell, a new threat emerged. A fire broke out in the south field. Small but deliberate. The acrid smell of gasoline unmistakable. We doused it before it spread. But the message was clear. Richard was done with subtlety. He's trying to scare us, Tom said, his voice raw. I nodded, but my mind raced. What if he didn't stop at scare tactics? What if he came for the stranger or us? Exhausted, we sat by the stranger's glow. Its light a strange comfort. This is bigger than us, I said, touching a leaf. But it's ours to protect. Tom took my hand, his eyes fierce. No one's taking this from us. No one. In that moment, I believed him. But as we walked back to the house, a distant engine rumbled. Headlights flashed across the horizon. They were coming again. The headlights cut through the night, pinning us in their glare. Tom grabbed my arm, pulling me behind the barn as two figures emerged from the SUV, Richard and Greg Harmon. Their voices carried, sharp and conspiratorial. It's here. I'm sure of it, Richard said. Get the samples and go. My blood ran cold. They were after the stranger. Right now, under cover of darkness. We crept closer, hiding in the corn. Greg held a shovel, digging near the stranger's base, while Richard scanned the field with a flashlight. Careful, Richard hissed. We don't know what it is. Greg laughed, low and greedy. I know enough. This thing's worth billions. My stomach twisted. They weren't just selling the farm, they were stealing our future. Tom's hand tightened on mine, his eyes blazing. I shook my head, whispering, not yet. Confronting them now could escalate things beyond control. Instead, we retreated, dialing Sarah as we hid. They're here, I whispered. Stealing samples. Sarah's voice was calm but urgent. Record it. Get proof. I'll call the sheriff. We set up a camera, capturing Greg's shovel slicing into the soil. Richard's face lit by the stranger's glow. It was damning evidence. But my heart sank as Greg pocketed a glowing chute. By the time the sheriff arrived, they were gone, taillights fading into the night. Sheriff Daniels, an old friend of Tom's, watched the footage, his face grim. This is serious. Anna. Trespassing. Theft. Maybe vandalism with that fire. But Richard's got pull. We need more. He promised to patrol the area, but I knew it wasn't enough. Richard was playing a bigger game. The next morning, Elena brought 3 scientists to the farm, each sworn to secrecy. They marveled at the stranger, taking notes and samples under Elena's strict supervision. This could power cities. One said, awestruck, or heal diseases. Another added. Their excitement fueled our hope. But danger loomed. Richard's complaint had triggered a county hearing in 3 days. If we couldn't prove the stranger's value by then, the farm could be condemned. We worked tirelessly, documenting the stranger's growth and effects. Elena's test showed it absorbed carbon at an unprecedented rate, a potential weapon against climate change. But every step forward came with a setback. That afternoon, Margaret showed up with a lawyer, demanding access to inspect the property. You can't hide forever, she said, her eyes glinting. Tom blocked her path. You're not welcome here, he said, his voice cold. She left, but not before whispering, you'll regret this. Thomas. That night, we found tire tracks near the north field, deep and fresh. Someone had been scoping us out again. They're not stopping, I said, my voice trembling. Tom's face was a mask of resolve. Then we don't either. We moved the stranger's newest chutes to a hidden greenhouse, covering our tracks with fresh soil. It felt like a war zone, our home violated at every turn. Elena called with good news. The patent was progressing, and a major university wanted to fund research. But the county hearing loomed, and Richard's influence was tightening. Sarah uncovered texts between Richard and a county official, hinting at bribes. It's not enough to convict, she said, but it's leverage. We planned to present the stranger at the hearing, revealing its value to sway the board. It was our last shot. As we prepared, a storm rolled in, thunder shaking the house. In the chaos, I noticed a flicker on the camera-race figure near the greenhouse. My heart stopped. They'd found it. Tom grabbed a bat, and we ran through the rain, lightning illuminating the stranger's faint glow. There, in the greenhouse, stood Greg, a knife in hand, cutting at the plants. "Stop!" I screamed, tackling him. He shoved me back, but Tom was there, pinning him down. "You're done," Tom growled, as rain soaked us all. We tied Greg's hands, calling the sheriff. But as we waited, a chilling realization hit. Richard wasn't with him. Where was he? And what was he planning next? The rain pounded as Sheriff Daniels hauled Greg away, his curses drowned by thunder. But Richard's absence gnawed at me. He was the mastermind, always one step ahead. "He's not done," I told Tom, my voice shaking as we secured the greenhouse. The stranger's glow flickered, as if sensing the threat. Tom's face was grim, rain dripping from his hat. "We end this at the hearing," he said. "No more running." We spent the next day preparing, gathering every scrap of evidence, Elena's reports, the scientist's notes, the footage of Greg and Richard. Sarah coached us on the hearing, warning that Richard would have allies on the county board. "He'll paint you as reckless," she said. "Focus on the stranger's value. Make them see what's at stake." Elena's university contact sent a letter of support, calling the plant a global breakthrough. It was our ace. But Richard's influence was a shadow we couldn't shake. That night, I couldn't sleep. The farm, once our refuge, felt like a trap. I wandered to the north field, the stranger's glow a beacon in the dark. I touched its leaves, their warmth steadying me. "You're why we're fighting," I whispered. It sounds crazy, but I swear it pulsed brighter, like it understood. Tom found me there, his arms wrapping around me. "We'll make it," he said. I wanted to believe him, but fear clung like damp soil. The hearing was held in a sterile county building, the air thick with tension. Richard and Margaret sat across from us, their faces smug. The board, 5 stern faces, listened as Richard's lawyer argued the farm was a public risk, citing the fire and unidentified plants. Clara, the inspector, testified nervously, avoiding our eyes. I knew Richard had pressured her. Then it was our turn. I stood, heart pounding, and told our story not just of the farm, but of the stranger. Elena presented her data, the scientists their findings. Gasps filled the room as we showed photos of the glowing plants, their potential spilling out in numbers and hope. "This isn't just our home," I said, my voice steady. "It's a chance to change the world." Tom squeezed my hand, his pride anchoring me. Richard scoffed, calling it a fantasy. But the board was intrigued, asking questions he couldn't answer. Sarah submitted our evidence of trespassing and bribery, and Richard's composure cracked. "You're throwing away millions," he shouted, earning a warning from the chair. Margaret's face paled, her pearls clutched tightly. The board deliberated for hours. We waited in the hall, Tom's hand in mine, Elena pacing. When they returned, the chair's words were clear. "The complaint is dismissed. The farm remains yours, pending further study of this discovery." Relief flooded me, but Richard's glare promised more trouble. As we left, he hissed, "This isn't over." Back at the farm, we celebrated quietly, toasting with cheap wine. Elena's team set up a research station, guarding the stranger day and night. But Richard's words haunted me. 2 nights later, we woke to alarms. The greenhouse was ablaze, flames licking the sky. We fought the fire with hoses, saving most of the stranger. But the damage was done. A gas can lay nearby. Richard's calling card. Sheriff Daniels arrested him the next day, our footage and Greg's confession sealing his fate. Margaret, humiliated, left town, her social empire crumbling. The farm was ours, but scars remained burned fields, broken trust. As we rebuilt, the stranger grew stronger. its glow a symbol of resilience. Tom and I stood together, watching it sway. "We did it," he said, his voice thick. I nodded, tears falling. "For us. For this." The fire's ashes settled, but the fight left us changed. The farm stood, battered but unbroken, the stranger's glow a quiet defiance against the night. Tom and I worked side by side, replanting, rebuilding, stitching our life back together. Richard's arrest made headlines. His reputation shattered. Margaret vanished to her sisters in Chicago, unable to face the town's whispers. For the first time in months, we breathed easier, but the scars ran deep. Elena's team transformed the North Field into a research hub, their tents dotting the landscape like mushrooms. The stranger was no longer ours alone. Scientists from across the country came, marveling at its potential. Patents were filed, grants secured, and the farm became a beacon of hope, not just for us, but for a world hungry for solutions. The stranger's compounds were already being tested for medical trials, its energy properties studied for sustainable power. Every breakthrough felt like a victory, proof we'd been right to fight. But the cost lingered. Tom's relationship with his parents was dead, the betrayal too raw. He didn't talk about it, but I saw it in his quiet moments. The way he stared at the old oak where his grandfather once told him stories. I felt it too, the weight of family torn apart, the ache of what could have been. Yet, in the stranger's glow, we found purpose. It wasn't just a plant. It was a promise, a reminder that even broken things could grow. One evening, as the sun dipped low, we walked the fields. The stranger had spread, its bioluminescence painting the horizon in soft blues and greens. "It's beautiful," I said, my voice catching. Tom pulled me close, his warmth grounding me. "So are you," he said, his eyes soft but fierce. "You fought for this. For us." I smiled, tears brimming. "We fought," I corrected. He kissed my forehead, and we stood there, wrapped in each other in the light of something extraordinary. The developers never returned, their plans buried with Richard's schemes. The town, once swayed by Margaret's charm, rallied around us, bringing casseroles and apologies. Sarah became a regular at our table, her laughter filling the house. Elena stayed too, her passion for the stranger matching ours. Together, we built something new, not just a farm, but a legacy. Months later, the first trial results came in. The stranger's compounds showed promise against antibiotic-resistant bacteria, a breakthrough that could save millions. The news spread, and with it, our story. Reporters came, but we kept it simple. This was our home, our fight, our miracle. The world saw the stranger, but we saw the cost: the sleepless nights, the fires, the family lost, and we saw the love that held us through it all. As winter approached, we planted more stranger seeds, their glow a beacon in the snow. Tom and I stood by the oak, now strung with lights for our first real Christmas since the fight. "Think Grandpa would be proud?" Tom asked, his voice soft. I squeezed his hand, the stranger's light reflecting in his eyes. "He'd say we did good," I said. "Real good." The farm was ours, not just in deed but in spirit. The stranger wasn't just a plant, it was a symbol of what we could endure, what we could create. Richard and Margaret had tried to break us, but they'd underestimated us, underestimated the land. As we walked back to the house, the stranger's glow followed, a quiet promise that no matter what came next, we'd face it together. And that was enough.